This is the Jeep Wrangler Rubicon, and we've come to this amazing spot, a spot that only cars like this can get you to. This is the on-road review, and following this video there'll be an off-road review, and as you can see we have just got to the off-road point. So up until this point it's all about the on-road performance of this incredible American car. Now, the one thing we both really detest about this car, and all modern cars to be honest, is the driving safety and driving assistance feature. I have to read it, so I can't remember what it's called. It beeps at you the entire time. Now, if you happen to go over a white line in the centre of the road, it'll beep at you. If you happen to go over a white line on the left of the road, it'll beep at you. Now, I tend to take racing lines all the time, so it's beeping at me continuously. If you slightly go over the speed limit, it goes bing, bing, bing. If someone puts a feather on the back seat, it'll go bing, bing, bing. I mean, it's binging and beeping at you the entire time. So you're thinking, what's that? What is that? And you're looking down at the thing to find out what it's beeping at you for. And then it comes up with a drowsy vehicle driver alert warning because it thinks you're falling asleep because you're looking down all the time. So it's just a stupid feature. And if you turn all the bits off, which you can do in the settings, as soon as you stop the engine and start the car again, it'll do it all over again. And you've got to go through it each time you start the car, which is absolutely flipping annoying. And
it's terribly annoying.
Yeah,
I've only been in it as a passenger a few times, and I find it extremely annoying. You're having a conversation, it's going beep, beep, beep. It's like, what the hell are you doing, R2-D2? It's like, you know,
do it again.
Yeah, it's just so annoying. And honestly, if there isn't a way to turn it off permanently, there we go, another beep.
Yeah,
then
because we're going faster than the speed
I'd
limit.
take it back.
Now, a big selling feature, of course, of this Jeep is this big screen in the middle, and I'm not a fan of screens at all. I prefer a button and a knob that you can feel while you're driving along without taking your eyes off the road. Now, a lot of cars just have the screen, so if you want to change the heating settings, for instance, you've got to go into a menu, you've got to scroll along and find it. While you're driving, you've got to look down, and your eyes are not on the road ahead, so that's much less safe. Bad idea. And I do believe there is a movement now to go back to knobs and buttons on cars, because it's the best thing that there ever was. You know where the switches are, you can feel for them, and you can activate them.
And once you know your car, you know where all the buttons are, so you do it without looking.
Yeah. And do you know the best feature about this screen?
What?
You can turn it off. There's a button that says screen off. That's the best thing about it. I love that bit. Of course, it's quite useful to have the sat-nav. It's got a nice big wide sat-nav screen. That I like. Everything else I could do without.
And it's got all the usual things you'd expect from a modern screen, like Apple CarPlay, which is quite good.
Don't know what that is.
It's where you can cast your phone onto here, so you can answer calls and texts, and also have your maps. Whether you like to use an app like Waze, for example, you can use that and have it on there, which I quite like. But he hasn't got a clue what that is because he's too old.
I've never needed that in my life. Around town, as we are in town now, we've come through. Oh, it's beeping at me. Oh, that's
red light camera.
What?
red light camera.
Where?
There you go, on the level crossing.
Oh, right.
I can't turn that one off. The car around town is marvellous. You've got a nice high driving position, a commanding view of the road. It's very good. And it's a lovely car to drive everywhere, to be honest. It does everything really well. On the motorway, it's excellent. It'll do the speed limit, which is 70 in the UK, very, very easily. And there's a lot in reserve. And if you put your foot down in this car, it really does go. It's a very fast car for its size, bearing in mind it is a big four-wheel drive. It's got 272 horsepower, which isn't bad, I think. But the big figure that really ticks my boxes is the torque. It's got 400 Newton meters of torque at 3,000 RPM, which is nice and low in the rev range, which makes it brilliant off-road, but gives you plenty of grunt just moving off the lights, etc. So that's great.
Now, you may well be new to this channel because it's a new channel, and we are very keen to grow this channel because we've got some incredible cars coming along. We will be reviewing all of the Caterham range, Pembleton, if you haven't heard of them. It's an incredible modern classic car with a Moto Guzzi motorcycle engine in it, which is a fabulous engine. I actually own a Moto Guzzi. And lots of other interesting, incredible cars. So if you want to join us on the journey, then make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss what we've got coming up.
Now, the one thing about the Jeep Wrangler, especially in the Rubicon edition, is that you can't expect it to drive and ride like a car, because it's set up for off-road driving, and those things that make it good off-road make it less good on the road. So it likes to follow the contours of the road, bumps, potholes, what's the word, cambers. It's very sensitive to that, and you have to give it constant steering input to keep it on the straight. But that, for me, makes quite an engaging drive. I like that. It's not a car you can just fall asleep and just point and it will go. You do have to work at it.
Now, I don't know whether this is because this is a new car and there's some gremlins that need to be ironed out, but the other day we were driving through town and the reversing camera just completely glitched out and it was going blue on the screen, which I filmed, so I'll put that over now. But it was quite annoying because we couldn't reverse and see what was behind us.
No.
It did reset after we turned the car off and on again, so it's not happened since. But that's a little glitch that probably needs a software update to iron out. And another thing that I noticed when sitting in the back of the car is that perhaps the attention to detail on certain little things was missed, because the rear of this seat that I'm sat in now, the stitching is sort of diagonal. It's not been done straight. So perhaps a blind person stitched this seat. But it is a little bit of an annoyance, because you want everything, especially in a new car, to be spot on.
Yeah, and while I remember talking about that camera incident with the rear thing, it's a very, very wide car, and you don't realise how wide it is, because when you see the bonnet, it looks like a normal sized car, but you must remember that either side, the front wheel arches stick out about a foot either side, so when you see it parked, it takes up an entire space. So you do need to choose where you park, and you do need that reversing camera to help you. In the Jeep, you've got the 8-speed automatic transmission, which is excellent. The gear changes are slick, and it seems to do them based on fuel economy. But if you put your foot down, it feels quite sporty, actually. And of course, in the Jeep, like a lot of four-wheel drives, you've got a separate gearbox called a transfer box, which operates your four-wheel drive system. So in road conditions like we are now, it's in 2H, which is just 2 for two-wheel drive, normal road driving, and you can pull the lever straight back 1 notch into four-wheel drive high, which you can use on the road or off the road or wherever you like without any problem whatsoever. So you can leave it in that if you want to, but the fuel economy is better in 2. But if it gets a little bit slippery on the road, like a bit of snow and ice or a bit of mud, then 4H is perfectly good at most things until it gets very gnarly. Then when you move it to the right, my right, that's all of the settings for off-road use only, which we'll cover in the next video in this series.
I mean, what is that?
I mean, this is the problem. We're driving along and it's beeping at us now, and we don't know what the beep is. So I'm having to look in here. He's trying to look on the screen there, thinking, well, what is it? Is it because it's not the speed? As I'm not speeding. I'm going lower than the speed. Is it the seat belt? Is something on the back seat? Is it not that?
No.
What the hell is it then? It's done this before, where we couldn't work it out until we actually stopped the car, turned everything off, and then it reset. And it did it actually when I first bought the car. The dealership I bought it from hadn't fully done the PDI check properly. You're supposed to put codes in or turn things off to know what they have to do.
Yeah.
And it was beeping at me because of one thing that hadn't been reset.
Right.
But it's not that now.
Honestly, I can't see anything in the menus that would be that. And it doesn't even say what it is. It doesn't say anything.
That's the thing, no, it doesn't. So if it beeps it doesn't tell you what it's beeping at. You just get a beep.
That's stupid. Honestly, this car infuriates me. What's the beeping at?
Right, let's go really low into the speed. It's not speed.
Not speed, no.
What is it? Right, let's turn it off. Still beeping. It did this when we went to the gym, didn't it?
Yeah, it did.
Let's get out and just set the car up.
Oh.
See you later, everybody.
Bye.
Still beeping.
Oh my God.
What the hell? Oh, stop.
Oh, stopped. Hey!
What the hell was that?
For fuck's sake.
Oh my
Unbelievable.
God. So, if you're watching a bureaucrat who thought that was a good idea, we're coming to get you. We are going to come and get you, and we're going to take you out of your office and tie.
Oh,
flipping heck!
What the hell?
Tie you to a post and put honey on you. Now, one thing you might notice, I don't know if you can hear it on the video, but on the Rubicon version, it comes with the mud terrain tyres, which do hum when you're driving along the road. So be aware of that. If you don't really need that off-road ability, well, I'd say that all Jeeps are brilliant off-road, but if you don't need that ultimate off-road ability, then I would go for the Sahara edition, which has road tyres, but they're still brilliant off-road. But at least you get a little bit more refinement on the road. In the UK, the Wrangler Rubicon comes with these mud terrain tyres as standard. They're on 17-inch rims, but the tyre diameter is larger than that of the Sahara version. So the Sahara's got 18-inch rims, but not such fat tyres. So these are 33 inches high or in diameter. So that gives you more rolling ground clearance, etc. It comes with this rock rail as standard, and you've got the Napa leather seats inside as standard. Other than that, I think there's little difference between this and the American Spec Wrangler.
Now, the Jeep is quite versatile in the sense that you can take the doors off, you can fold this front windscreen down, which it comes with a toolkit to do so. You can also take off the roof panels and have it completely open top, and it comes with a sort of stowable bag for the front part of the roof. So that's lovely on a summer's day, but it certainly isn't a summer's day today. It's absolutely freezing, and I forgot to bring my hat with me, so I have got brain freeze, which is unfortunate. So I can't stand out here for too long, but it certainly is a good looking car. And I saw a lot of these vehicles in Asia. I recently spent 2 months in Asia, in Japan, South Korea and Thailand. And in Japan and South Korea, these things were absolutely everywhere, especially in Japan, mainly in the cities, because it's quite a posy car. It's good looking, it's beefed up, it's rather large, so it makes for a good car for someone to drive around in Tokyo and look cool in. But I also saw one in Korea that had been completely jacked up, massive wheels, and it had all the doors off, the roof off, and it looked fantastic. Same colour as this as well. Now, it has 5 seats. The middle seat in the rear folds down and gives you a cup holder in the headrest. So that's nice to have. If you do lean on this middle seat while the seat is up, and you haven't got a seatbelt on, it will assume that someone is sitting in that seat. So it will go beep, 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 which is incredibly frustrating. So if you want to lean on something, make sure you put the middle bit down so it won't do that. You've got these little nets in the back, so you could put a book in there or something. It's relatively speaking enough space for someone of my height. I'm 6'1". I'm not anywhere near the roof. My knees are close to the seat in front, but that's quite far back. So there's plenty of space, and you've got plenty of boot space as well. So it's plenty roomy inside the cabin. Got 2 cup holders in the front. You've also got this cubby, which has got a top section and a bottom section, so you've got plenty of storage there. You've got connectivity, media, so you've got USB-C, USB, auxiliary. You've also got 2 USB-Cs in the back. Heated seats in the front, not in the rear. I like the dials on this car. It's got analog dials, which is rare to see on a new car, but they look very nice actually, so I like those. You've got this sort of fake looking almost carbon fibre effect, but it is like a material, but it looks quite nice. A little bit plasticky on the centre console here, but it's a rugged car, so you don't expect the highest quality interior, because at the end of the day you're going to get it muddy, you're going to have probably dogs in here, so you know, if it was lovely leather, you'd be worried about it constantly.
At the back end of the car, you've got the handy rear camera here. In the USA they have one on the front, but in the UK they have a little lock in place of that, which is a shame because it's nice to have the camera on the front as well. You've got the wheel cover, of course. It opens at the bottom first, nice and wide, so you can put stuff in without opening the top if you want to, and of course you can just open the top. And you've got a reasonably large boot. You get a couple of dogs in here, a week's shopping, all sorts of things, so plenty of space in there. And you can see this subwoofer here. The Alpine stereo system is fantastic. I don't think we've heard a better stereo system in a car. It really is very loud. There's plenty of room there. There's a 12-volt DC socket there. So the connectivity on this car is very good. Little attention to details. That's actually a cup holder, believe it or not. So if you're sitting in the car, not going along, if you're just sitting in the back, you've got somewhere to put your cup while you're having a drink of coffee. Now, when I buy a new car, I always check underneath and usually have to put a bit of extra underseal on the bottom. With this, it was absolutely perfect. I've never seen a car so well protected underneath as this car. There was only one little tiny area. I put a little bit of black underseal on the front where there's a sort of gasket around the front diff. Other than that, it was perfect, and I'm very impressed with that. So this car is going to last for years. Now, as I said, driving, it's a very wide car, so it's quite hard to place it, and it's quite hard to park until you get used to it. My wife finds it really hard to park, but she hasn't driven it as much as I have. So you have to bear that in mind if you want one of these. It's a very posy car. I mean, you do see them in London, and a lot of them never touch the off-road stuff. But it's nice to know that you can, isn't it? So even if you don't, occasionally if you go to a point-to-point and you need to go and park in a muddy field, this car will lap it up. And if the going gets really rough and serious, you're pretty confident knowing this car will tackle it. I don't think many off-road cars, four-wheel drives, come as capable as this one does out of the box standard, with the diff locks and the four-wheel drive system and all of the things that it has. And it's got a sway bar disconnect, which I'm going to activate for going down there. So when the wheels start doing that, it disconnects the front sway bar, allowing more articulation with the axles, which stops the car rolling so much. So the wheels, the axles will do it instead. So we'll be putting that on in a second.
So hopefully you've enjoyed this review of what this car is like on the road, and make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss out on the next video where we'll be taking this off-road, or we already have slightly, but we'll tell you what it's like off-road, how it copes with it, and whether it's as good as some of its competitors.